Hey guys, Endless here, welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 for What If Deku Trained Like Garou. Also check out the other videos on the playlists. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Bang walked into UA and he wasn't in a good mood. First he was told that his daughter-in-law went missing. Then right after the officer had told him that his grandson had got kidnapped by the worst villain in history. So the old man growled and slammed the door open of Nizu's office and gave the Chimera a death stare. Said Chimera gulped nervously. He didn't even offer him tea. Bang walked up towards the desk and sat on the seat in front of it. So what you guys told me is you attacked my grandson for protecting his friends. Nizu was about to speak but Bang cut him off. Shut up. The man growled. I read the police report, it stated All Might attacked him and when he tried to defend himself that's when he crushed the villains in the crater. He then gripped the table and it cracked by the pressure. If he gets killed I'm coming for your head and not even All Might would stop me and my son. Nizu just nodded. He had realized they were in the wrong for attacking him but what's done is done. However, Bang brought him out of his thoughts. Dragon Breath won't be happy to hear that his wife went missing and his son. After Aizawa had heard this he gulped and asked. The number 5 hero that's away helping a disaster. Yes, and he will be coming in a few months, if anything happens to them you will feel his rage. Shota didn't respond after he heard this. However, Nizu did. So the disaster he was sent to was already taken care of. No, but he told me yesterday that he's almost finished. After Bang had said this he stood up and walked over towards the door. He glanced behind him at all the heroes and spoke in a cold tone. And he wouldn't be the only one who would protect his family. Back with Izuku. The red-haired boy stared at Tamura and barely held back on killing the man. Said man noticed his stare and chuckled. What I told you earlier. They don't trust you. Izuku just looked at the floor and thought back to how the heroes attacked him and before then. They all had looked at him in suspicion. But that's when All for One spoke up. Izuku Midoriya, I want you to join Tamura here. He then continued in a mocking tone. And don't think about refusing. He then pressed a button and the screen on the TV was shown. On said screen was a tied-up Inko in a dark room. His blood boiled and a dark aura appeared over him. Kill her and I kill you. All for One stepped back at the killing intent the boy had and laughed inwardly. The doctor was right, this boy is a monster. He then walked over towards a cup of tea and started to drink it. I won't kill her as long as you work with us. The villain leader tried to offer Izuku a drink but said boy swiped it away with a dark purple trail. I didn't come here for some tea, just tell me what you want me to do and it will be done. He growled. After Tamura had heard this he smirked. Now I got a main boss in the league. All for One put his tea down and looked over towards Kirojiri. Said Nomo nodded and a portal appeared in front of Izuku. The red-haired boy tensed but saw that a folder popped out of the portal. He raised an eyebrow and caught the folder. As he was looking through it, All for One spoke. I want you to weaken the heroes and do whatever Tamura orders you to do. Izuku's killing intent flared dangerously after he heard this. But it quickly stopped when All for One glanced back at the TV. Crap, I'm stuck. Izuku lowered his key and he noticed that Tamura had almost passed out due to the amount. After a moment the red-haired boy spoke. I'm not a dog that can be sent to do your bidding. He then walked up to All for One and stared at the black mask with a feral grin. I think you misunderstand, Mr. Ringleader. I'm not joining you because I fear you. All for One tensed a bit and wondered if he went too far. Izuku then got into said man's face and spoke in a cold tone. Try and order me like one and trust me, not even that regeneration quirk would save you from me. All for One glanced at Kirojiri once again and wondered if they could kill this kid with the high-end Nomu. However, Izuku backed away and looked at the file once again. Snake Hero, Uwabami. He then glanced at All for One. So you want me to attack her tonight? She is in Hosu City. How am I going to reach there before nightfall? All for one side and chuckled. Kirojiri. After he said this, a portal appeared above Izuku and a one-piece black clothing popped out of said portal and landed onto Izuku's hands. Said boy just stared at the outfit and frowned. Why are all villains so edgy? He just shrugged and put it over his pants and was now wearing his villain outfit. Think of the Garou outfit versus overgrown rover. Anyways, back to the story. Izuku stared at the portal in front of him and sighed. Untie my mother and feed her. All for one just nodded in agreement. I already have a Nomu doing that for her. The red-haired boy gritted his teeth and walked into the portal. After he left, Tamura spoke up. Why did you let him threaten you like that, master? Said man looked at his apprentice and sighed. We need his power, he will be useful for us, and I fear in my current condition I will lose in a fair fight. Tamura just frowned at this and wondered how strong the monster brat was. In Hosu City. Iwabumi just finished a press conference and looked around the dark city. She had a bad feeling all of a sudden. However, she is a pro hero, no one would be dumb enough to attack her. The blonde hero made her way to her car and was about to enter, but that's when. Boom! Izuku appeared on top of the now destroyed car and stared at the pro hero in front of him with a critical eye. Doesn't look all that strong to me. How did she become a pro hero? However, said heroine spoke while getting into a stance. Attacking a hero in the middle of a street, how dumb are you? As she said this, however, Izuku disappeared and reappeared behind her. Don't worry about it, just know that you're my prey. Water stream, rock smashing fist. Iwabumi tried to dodge, but Izuku quickly halted his punch and launched a kick with the same blue stream. It connected with the side of the hero's face with a boom. The blonde hero got launched through her car and got sent into the side of a building that caused another explosion. Izuku frowned and stared at the crater in the building. I hope I held back enough so that she didn't die. As he was in his thoughts, he heard a loud engine coming his way. The red-haired boy jumped back and launched a kick to the newcomer. Said man launched a kick of his own and the two attacks clashed for dominance. Boom! The ground cracked beneath the duo and Izuku jumped back towards the city street. He stared up at the hero and grinned. Ingenium. Said hero froze once he saw Izuku and noticed his age. Wait, he is Tenya's age, isn't that his classmate? After a moment of silence, Izuku stood up straight and the speedster spoke up. Why are you attacking a hero? Didn't you want to become one? Come with me, we can figure something out. He then continued. You still have a choice to choose the right path. Izuku just clenched his fists and roared. I don't have a choice. He dashed towards the hero and launched a punch towards him. Tensei had dodged it and was about to counter but halted. The red-haired boy noticed this and gritted his teeth. He backed away once again and growled. Just let me leave, I don't want to hurt Tenya's older brother. Ingenium frowned and wondered why. He didn't attack when I was open. He then sent his coordinates to the heroes in the area and spoke in a commanding tone. I cannot do that, young man, I need to take you in. And Bang wants to see you once again, he is worried for you. Izuku's eyes went wide at this. Wait, I have some hope for him to help me. Izuku lowered his guard and Ingenium sighed at this, however. One of his sidekicks had appeared and launched a punch towards Izuku. After Ingenium had noticed this, he shouted. Wait, don't. The red-haired boy's eyes went wide and got sent towards the ground with a thud. The red-haired boy growled and his rage rose to new heights. Again, and again. He then launched his fist into the ground and roared. Whirlwind, iron cutting fist. Ingenium then roared. Recipro burst. He made it to his sidekick and went out of the attack range. Boom. Izuku stood up and looked around at the destroyed buildings. There was a big crater the size of a city block and he was in the center. So you tried to trick me like them. He got into a stance and roared. "Alright hero, prove your worth." Ingenium frowned and spoke to his sidekick. "That was a dumb move, he was about to come with me," said man, gulped and muttered. "Sorry." Ingenium stood up straight and dashed towards the center of the crater. He was now standing in front of Izuku and got into a stance of his own. "I will take you in. Just try it." After Izuku had said this, he dashed towards Ingenium with a blue trail and launched continuous blows towards the hero. Said man dodged and was about to counter, but Izuku noticed this and grinned. Too slow. He then leg sweeped the man and spun around. As Izuku did this, he launched a punch towards Tensei's mask and he heard a crack. Ingenium got sent towards the edge of the crater with a boom. As this fight was happening, a helicopter was recording said fight and Bakugo roared and ran outside of his house. He started to use his quirk and made his way towards Hosa City. Why, out of everyone he tried the hardest to become a hero. Bakugo then thought back to earlier. From how he apologized to his friend's parents, and that's when he heard about Inko. His eyes went wide at the realization. If he needs my help, I don't care about becoming a villain. In Kamino Ward. Tamura smirked at the TV and spoke to Kurogiri. Bring some Nomus, I want to join in. Said creature nodded and a portal appeared and the duo left within it. With Inko. She stared at the man in front of her and frowned. Why did you kidnap me? I have nothing of value. All for One just chuckled and pointed towards the TV. Oh, but you hold value, you're the reason your son is a villain. After said woman heard this, she had tears falling from her eyes and Inko stared at the TV. There she saw her baby getting attacked by Ingenium and Best Jeanist. Why did it come to this? Hisashi, please help your son. Across the world in a boat, a man with a cigar and brown coat with black combat boots, and to finish his outfit off, he is wearing a black and red shirt with matching pants. Hisashi frowned and stared at his phone intently. Crack. He then roared to the captain. Selkie, we are done here, bring me back to Japan, I need to save my son. Said hero stared at the destroyed phone now on the floor and back at the number 5 hero. He is pissed. He just nodded and ordered his crew to set course back to Japan. Hisashi stared at the sea and thought to himself. I will be there soon, son. Back at the fight. Izuku dodged a blow from Best Jeanist, and after he did so, said boy launched purple streams in front of him at a fast pace. As he did so, the bullets that were sent his way got deflected to the side of the crater and towards the sky. Best Jeanist had noticed this and muttered, "This doesn't feel right." He then continued his thoughts from earlier. This boy is only attacking us and not the civilians or police officers. Izuku huffed and was bleeding on the side of his face and half of his clothes got burnt. He looked over towards Tensei and frowned. I didn't want to snap his leg. Said hero wrapped his bleeding leg and tried to get back up. However, that's when Edge Shot appeared and stopped him. Let us deal with this villain. Ingenium shouted in protest. He isn't a villain, there is more at play here. I only had my leg snapped because I almost captured him. Edge Shot stared at the hero in confusion. As this was happening, a portal had appeared behind Izuku and 2 Nomus appeared behind him. Said boy muttered. Shit, I couldn't finish this in time. All the heroes tensed at this and Tamura walked out of the portal and laughed darkly. Garou, you did well. Izuku frowned and pointed towards himself. That me? He questioned. Tamura face faltered at this and he quickly stood up. That's what you will go by. Izuku just muttered. I don't like it. However, he stared at the heroes in front of him and wondered when they all came to help Ingenium. After he thought this, Tamura shouted in joy. Nomus, go attack them. As he said this, however, his clothing wrapped around him and trapped him. However, said villain grinned and touched the strings and decayed them. Once this happened, Edge shot dashed towards Izuku and said boy got into a stance and roared. Water stream, rock smashing fist. Edge shot had saw this however and quickly used his quirk to go around the red-haired boy. Wait what? The ninja hero then launched a kick towards Izuku that he couldn't dodge. But he was able to bring up an arm in defense and the kick sent Izuku towards the ground with a thud. As Edge shot was going to press his advantage, a Nomu had appeared and screeched towards the hero. Said hero narrowed his eyes and launched his blade towards the Nomu. He slashed its arm off and was about to continue his attack, but Izuku appeared and roared. Whirlwind, iron cutting fist. His attack pierced the Nomu and killed it. Edge shot stared at him in shock. Why did he kill it? Wasn't it his ally? Tamura had saw this and growled. Why did you attack the Nomu? Izuku just pulled his fist back and growled. It got in my way. He then stared at Edge shot and grinned. Now let's have our fight. As Izuku said this, he dashed towards the hero and launched a punch with a blue stream. Edge shot did the same thing as before and was about to attack. But the red-haired boy narrowed his eyes and a purple stream followed his fist. The ninja hero's eyes went wide and quickly cancelled his quirk and put his guard in a block. The blow connected and Izuku heard a crack. Edge shot winced and got sent back towards Manuel. Said hero caught the hero and used the water from a fire hydrant to launch a high-pressured water attack towards the redhead. Izuku saw this and grinned. He stomped his foot onto the ground with a dark purple blow and a piece of the ground went up and shielded Izuku from the attack. Manuel frowned and that's when Edge shot shoved him to the ground. As he did so, Izuku launched a roundhouse kick that hit the air. The red-haired boy jumped back and as he did so a massive shadow appeared behind him. Mount Lady then roared as she launched a bus towards Izuku. Said boy turned around and launched a punch towards the oncoming attack. Exploding heart release fist. The two attacks connected and there was a massive boom. Said impact launched MT Lady back and she fell towards the ground with a thud. The smoke cleared around Izuku and his arm was now a dark color. Wait, what's happening to me? He stared at his arm in wonder, but as he did Izuku heard a roar behind him. Flash fire fist, jet burn. He launched the flame attack towards Izuku, however said boy froze once he heard another shout at his side with an explosion. Howitzer impact. Boom. Izuku jumped away from the flames and landed towards the side and Bakugo landed near him. The red-haired boy stared at him and roared. Why are you here? You don't need to get involved. After Bakugo heard this he just shrugged. It wouldn't be the same if you weren't a hero with me, besides we have to save Inko. Izuku's eyes went wide and he muttered. How did you know? The blonde just grinned at this and spoke mockingly. My mother is best friends with yours. As they were talking, Endeavor roared. Aren't you from UA? Are you a villain now? After Bakugo heard this he stretched and grinned. Nah, but I will fight you if you attack me. Endeavor just sweat dropped and thought. Didn't you just attack me, brat? As this was happening, Tamura stared at Bakugo intently. Why did he want to join? Is it because of his friend? After a moment he shrugged and grinned. He then touched the ground and thought. Let's lower the playing field. After he did this, Izuku had grabbed onto Katsuki and jumped up into the air. Said blonde shouted in protest. Oi, I can fly myself. Tamura then roared. Everything will be destroyed. After his last finger had touched the ground, there was a massive boom. As this was happening, Endeavor was able to grab Ingenium and Edge shot and jump away. What is this? It's like the ground is decaying. After Tamura stood up, Izuku appeared by his side and threw Katsuki onto the ground. Said blonde muttered something under his breath and stood up. So the guy that attacked us before took his mother. He thought. As Bakugo thought this, Izuku spoke up. You know, a heads up would have been nice. If I wasn't aware I would have died. The red-haired boy then cracked his neck and grinned. I know you would have been able to dodge that attack, and I don't mind your friend joining. He then continued. I don't really care for his reasons, but make sure you remember betray me and your mother dies. Izuku and Katsuki growled at this and got into a stance, all the while staring at the heroes. But that is the end of this part. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like and subscribe. Also tell me in the comments on how this part had came out.